We are very pleased and privileged to be joined by 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time first team All-Pro, Patrick Willis. Patrick, thanks for a few minutes.
Rod, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You are here on behalf of the NFL Alumni Association and the Huddle Up campaign. We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, I'm seeing everywhere on Twitter, 49ers players talking about the NFC Championship game. Have you ever seen a game where a team ran out of quarterbacks?
I have not. that was the first time. I mean, all year long they've had unfortunate luck at the quarterback position, and then to get to that game after doing so much and getting to that game, and then to lose, their quarterback as they did, and then to lose the backup, and then to almost be going in with the running back. I mean, that was pretty intense. You couldn't imagine that.
I mean, as a linebacker, you see the running back under center. That's got to be a good feeling for you.
Yeah. As a linebacker, yeah, that would be. He ain't throwing the ball too much, so you know where to key in at. So.
I'm still not over it, but we try to move on. The big question for the Niners is, of course, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy. Matt Mayoko, obviously. Matt covered the team forever. He covered the team while you were there. Mayoko said there's going to be a lot of ticked off people in the 49ers locker room if Brock Purdy is not the starter. How big a deal is that if Kyle Shanahan were to go with Trey Lance? Is that a big issue if the locker room is not behind him?
Man, that's almost a double fold question, in the sense that I feel like those guys are professionals, and you understand that it's not always about who's the most liked. It's about it's about the cards at play, right? And I kind of thought about this as well, because the logic thing would be like Brock has to be the guy, and most definitely he played tremendously well. However, with that being said, there was this thing that I think Jameis Winston said: a quarterback never is supposed to lose his starting job to an injury. And so, with that being said, I think it's only fair that they have their competition in that sense. But I almost feel like Trey has that number one, being that he was their first round draft pick, and it's just the way it is sometimes. And so with that being said, you give him an opportunity to go play, and he doesn't, fulfill that, and you have a guy that's just, licking the chomps to, to go, take what he feels right is. So, it's tough.
And really, all that matters is whoever they start wins, right? I mean, you guys in 2012, everybody liked Alex Smith in the locker room. He got hurt. Colin came in. Colin won. I mean, his 10th career start was the Super Bowl. As long as the guy that's coming in wins, all that stuff kind of doesn't really matter in terms of who the locker room likes more, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate goal, is to win. And whoever's on the quarterback, and they give me the best chance to do that, then that's who you go with. And again, it's unfortunate, because you heard about the injury that Brock, the injury that he suffered during the NFC Championship game. With that being said, it only gives Trey, that much more time to get himself back. And like I said, when the time goes, there's nothing like having healthy competition. With that being said, I think you don't run the game or run the risk at playing mentally with Trey's mind, in the sense that, like, you did all you did to get him as a number one. You got to at least be faithful and allow him to have that opportunity to pretty much, not solidify it. So, but at the end of the day, it's about getting the W's. So.
Niners are hoping that Steve Wilks could help them get some W's. He's going to be their new defensive coordinator. I looked this up this morning. I couldn't believe it. You only played for 2 defensive coordinators in your entire career. You had Greg Minuski when you started, and then you had Vic Fangio. How big of a deal is it when a team switches defensive coordinators if they're not going to run the same scheme?
Yeah, I mean that can be a little challenging, depending on, like I said, I mean, terminology is always runs different within each scheme, but depending on if it's a 3-4 or 4-3. But I think I wouldn't imagine they would go get a 3-4 guy with them having the bases that they have with the 4-3.
Yeah,
So I
Wilks
think,
is a 4-3 guy.
all right, that's what I was thinking. I know down in those guys played really well defensively down in Carolina. So shout out to D'Amico Ryans and everything he done in his time at the 49ers, and all the best to him as he go, be the head coach at the Texans. And I'm looking forward to Steve though, just turning up because he got some good players. He got some good defensive players. I know they're gonna add some, and so yeah, really looking forward to seeing how they get together. It's going to take a little bit of work, but yeah, they got some veteran guys on the defensive side of the ball, which makes it a lot easier as well. So
The biggest difference I see between the two, and I'm just sort of diving into this, is that D'Amico played a lot of two high safeties and Steve Wilks played a lot of one high safety. What
mm.
is the difference in the defense, two high versus one high safety?
Yeah, I guess it would kind of depends. A lot of times running the two high safeties means you're just giving your cornerbacks help. A lot of times it's kind of saying that we may not have. I'm not gonna say you don't have the best corners, but a lot of times you might have some heck. I mean, receivers these days are really well. They play really really good football. I mean, they always have, but these guys are something else. And so I say that to say, especially with the rules and stuff being as is, you can't really just hammer off somebody. I say it makes them run a lot easier. But with that being said, running the two high safety allows you to have the help over the top of your cornerbacks, and then when you're doing a single high, a lot of times you are saying that you have one and or two pretty good corners that can play top shoulder and lock some guys down, and you can keep that one safety high. With the two high safeties, you run the risk of being ran on a lot because sometimes you want to bring that other safety down in the box, but if you know how to play it right, you can be effective running a two-man high 7-man box or whatnot, 6-man box. Yeah.
So if you have the one high safety and the other safety is kind of in the box, I assume hopefully that would be Hufanga, because to me that seems like where he is best. What is his responsibilities in that kind of scheme generally?
Yeah, Hufanga, he reminded me of as I'm looking at it, they did have two safety. Yeah, I guess he was their free safety, and because Jimmy, I was trying to look. Jimmy was like the nickel back. I
Yes.
believe Jimmy used to be the free safety, so I was having to stop because they had another safety back there, which was their strong safety. Yeah. With that being said, I see Hufanga. He's really instinctive, and so you want him to be able to. I feel like they can use him anywhere as a free safety, as an extra safety in the box, and I think that's what makes him very unique. But again, he has that Palomalu vibe to him or whatnot, to where he's down on the line 1 second, and next thing you know, he's back in the middle half of the field, or he's back in the middle half of the field, and next thing you know, he's blitzing off the edge. So he can do it all. And again, they have some very good defensive players, which always makes it a little bit smoother for the defensive coordinator. So.
Yeah, it's pretty good to take over a job where you have a first team all pro at every level, right? You got Bosa, Warner, and Hufanga.
Yeah, and there's and there's some hard seconds right behind those guys, because I still feel like Trey, man, he's right there with he just I think he may not be getting the love that he deserves accolade wise, but man, for me watching him, I mean, he does everything extremely well. I mean, he gonna get you some penalties, but I think that's just his forte. He kind of reminds me of like Draymond. He's that guy that sets that tone in that way, and you need those guys like that. So yeah, I enjoy watching the whole defense.
You're here on behalf of the NFL Alumni Association and the Huddle Up Let's Talk Obesity campaign. Tell us what you have going on with them.
Yeah, just here to shed light on the obesity that tends to follow us as athletes when we finish playing the game for for multitude of reasons. And with the Huddle Up, Let's Talk Obesity campaign, it's just about bringing awareness, and not just bringing awareness, but also letting guys know that there is help out there, and all you have to do is just, call or go to the website, and you can get the help to get you back on the track that you want to get on.
The website is huddleupobesity.org. I was surprised to see that more than half of former NFL players are dealing with that. I think of all you guys as just constantly training all the time, but obviously that changes once you step away from the game.
Yeah, I mean, when we're in the game, it's work, it's your job, it's your way of life, and now I can attest, being retired now going on 8 years, having that I know, right, time has just flown by, having that structure of that lifestyle, it really does well for your body. And then when you finish and you may not have that structure, that discipline, and I'm not saying you have to be everything you was when you was playing, but it's really easy to kind of let yourself get out of shape, and once you get out of shape, it's like it's really easy just the other things start falling apart. And so I'm just an advocate of trying to stay, not trying, but staying active in some form of fashion, whether it's stretching, walking, just moving. The body is made to move, and so again, this campaign is every bit about just bringing awareness, and also letting guys know that there's help, and that we can do something about it.
The website again is huddleupobesity.org. Correct me if I'm wrong. You went back to Levi's this year for the Niners alumni celebration, right?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Who was the first person you talked to when you went back to Levi's?
So it's interesting. That weekend was a special weekend altogether. So it was a whole weekend, but 2 days of that weekend, I actually flew down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Eric Reed and I collaborated with, I have a nonprofit called At the Winker's Mind Youth Fund Foundation. And it's a foundation that aims at putting fit zones in underprivileged areas to bring about, fitness and just healthy lifestyle. And so I done that the first 2 days of the weekend, but then I flew out. I was able to get an early flight out on Sunday morning. Was it Sunday morning or Saturday evening? And yeah, Saturday night, got back, and I think the first person I talked to, I think it was T. Good. It was actually Tavares Gooden, part of the Tony Montana squad. And I mean, I tell people, man, my first 4 years, that weekend was a special weekend, because my first 4 years in the league, it was tough. You going out there every weekend, and you just getting your head beat in just to get a 500 record, and then hope you get in with a losing record in 7-9, something like that it was back then, or 8-8 and all that stuff. But then all of a sudden, 2011, 12, and 13, man, those were some tremendous years. Just feeling what it was like to win, and not just what it was like to win, but to win with those guys and Tavares Good. A lot of those guys who were back from that 2012 year, it was just, man, if you could just felt the energy that it felt like inside the locker room, the way we practiced, the way we hung out, the way just the way we did everything. And so again, that weekend was just was a special weekend to see everybody come back. Well, most everyone, and everybody that wasn't able to come back, you were missed as well. And to those who are no longer with us, shout out Paris Harrison, RIP to him. It was just a special weekend.
And Jim Harbaugh was back for the first time too. Did you get to talk with Jim?
Oh man, well, Coach, I did. We what was interesting was on the way over to the game, on the way over to the game, we had this. It had this feeling of like I was sitting in where I would usually sit at. Navarro was sitting where he would usually sit at, and I just looked, and Harbaugh was sitting right there in front of us, and it was just one of those like moments where you just looking at the triangle and you like, wow, man, we really did have something special, and we did some special things here. Unfortunately, we didn't do the thing that would have just made it all just, it was win that Super Bowl. But it it was a good time though.
If the refs would have thrown that damn holding flag at the end of the game, maybe it would have been different. But, well, thank you very much, Patrick. I really appreciate the time. Again, the website is huddleupobesity.org. You can go and check it out and get some good strategies for some healthy living, which, let's be honest, we could all probably be in a little bit better shape. So thanks again for the time, Patrick. Hope we can do it again soon.
Hey, Rob, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.